Brandon Bondorfer with On Focus, and we are still at Farm Technology Days, and we have an exciting one for you. We are on the corner of 6th and University, and we are looking just off Innovative Square at some great egg cultural background. We are with some fine growers in the Cranberry organization. Tell me a little bit about who you are and where you're from.
My name is Ben Raisin from Cranberry, Wisconsin Rapids.
Nikki Reiner with Cutler Cranberry in Camp Douglas, Wisconsin, and City Point.
Steph Bennett with Bennett Cranberry in Wisconsin Rapids.
Mary Smedbron with Saratoga Cranberry in Wisconsin Rapids.
Now, looking at the exhibit itself, I see right behind me we have two bogs, and one of them has water and one doesn't. Can you tell me a little bit about the bog here that doesn't have any water?
So the one right behind us is considered our dry bed, and this is what you'd see now when you drive past the marsh. The idea is you can drive past the marsh and you can see stuff, but this way we have a nice little walking path. You can check it out, be a little more on one. We're going to have volunteers around, so if you have questions about how cranberries are grown, or if you want to ask what are those white boxes in there, we'll be able to say that it's for checking for insects.
Well, that's very fascinating. Now, behind that one is a bed that has some water. That's got to be a little farther in the growing process, if I understand. Can you tell me a little bit about that bed?
Yeah, so this bed is what we call our wet bed. We'll have floating cranberries in it. So you see those commercials with the floating cranberries. We're trying to emphasize what a harvest would look like.
So now I do notice that there's some of a staircase, looks like, going into the bed. Are you guys still setting up, or is that part of the display?
That is actually part of the display. We're going to be able to give people hip boots to put on. They get to get down on the cranberries, hold them in their hands, throw them up in the air, and we'll take some photos.
Well, that is awesome. And on a hot day that's coming up in the temperature, I'm sure it's going to be kind of a fun experience. Now, all around us, we are surrounded by various equipment. Can you tell me a little bit about the equipment here at the exhibit?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of everything. The progression of harvest equipment, old to new. We've got progression of how the vines were planted, old to new. We even have the mini excavator here that we use to build these two beds. Also, we have a berry pump that's used modern day for cranberry harvest, pumping the fruit out of the bed into the trucks.
Now, will there be people walking around the exhibit that kind of help explain that here at Farm Technology Days?
Yep, there'll be many volunteers asking questions specifically on the beds, on the equipment, and then on the tents.
Now, one thing about Farm Technology Days, it's all about education. And I know from sitting behind me, whenever you see tents, there's a good chance there's a learning activity. Can you tell me what's taking place there inside the tents?
Sure, we have an egg education tent, and that's primarily for children, so they'll be able to build a little cranberry bog to take home with them. They're going to have some coloring to do for cranberries, wildlife, bees, and we're going to have some other wildlife information that they can take home with them. And then in the other tent, it's cranberry samples. So we'll have juice and screen-dried cranberries and other cranberry products that we have around the world. And they can come and have samples of juice.
Well, that is exciting. It's a great opportunity. If you are interested in what's taking place here at Farm Technology Days and want to get firsthand accounts of agriculture, this is the place to do it. It's off the corner of 6th and University. And we got a special guest joining us here. We're going to have Allison Dairyland joining us to talk about cranberries in Wood County and the importance of them in Wisconsin. So stay tuned for that. I'm Brandon Boner for On Focus.